Arizona anti-abortion bill is just one vote away from being sent to Governor Ducey's desk. What the two sides of the debate are saying tonight.
Plus, the dangers of being a female firefighter go beyond just flames. What one study discovered about the potential health risks and the measures underway to protect those who protect us.
And on Break It Down, how wearing a face mask turned into a political firestorm.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Karina Espinosa.
And I'm Caitlin Keenahan. Thank you for joining us.
The state legislature is taking up a bill that would give full rights to an unborn child and make acts related to abortion based on genetic abnormality a felony. The bill is one Senate vote away from showing up on Governor Ducey's desk. Faith Abercrombie headed to the Capitol today to hear about some people's concerns and why others are for the bill. Faith?
The Arizona Coalition of Reproductive Rights met for a news conference today with about 50 people opposed to this bill, including teachers, doctors, and Arizona citizens.
I'm speaking out in opposition of SB 1457.
Stories from individuals.
My high-risk pregnancy required frequent ultrasounds and stress tests.
Doctors speaking out about their experiences.
So there was a machine pumping the blood through her body. This woman was dying.
Even a politician who shared her own story.
And around that time, I was sexually assaulted, and I did not know who the father was.
I am in opposition to this bill because I personally know what's at stake. As someone who has sought an abortion herself, I faced firsthand the barriers that past legislative sessions have put into place.
Representative Melody Hernandez is among those opposed to SB 1457 because they are worried the bill will lead to further restrictions to abortions. But supporters of the bill say it targets abortions in specific cases.
Senate Bill 1457 would prohibit discriminating against an unborn child simply because of the child has a genetic condition, a genetic abnormality.
The bill, while approved by the House, still has a few steps before it heads to the governor.
The Senate and the House have to agree to a version of the bill before it can go to the governor. So those will be the next steps, is that the Senate will be conferring with the House, agreeing on the bill's version, and then it will go to the Senate.
Opponents held the press conference today to encourage the public to speak out.
People need to speak up and they need to reach out to the representatives, to their senators, and tell them to vote no on this bill. Because if this is successful, it would go to the governor's desk.
Senate Bill 1457 has already passed through the House and is now waiting on a Senate vote. If approved, it would go to Governor Ducey, where the bill will become law or get vetoed. In the broadcast center, Faith Abercrombie, Cronkite News.
Arizona has hit a new milestone in the fight against COVID-19. As of yesterday, 1/3 of the state's population had received at least one dose of the vaccine, and that was accomplished in less than 4 months. Taking a closer look at the numbers, nearly 3.8 million vaccine doses have been administered in the state so far, with 33% of the state's population having received at least one shot, and nearly 1.5 million Arizonans being fully vaccinated.
And with temperatures approaching triple digits, vaccine efforts are underway to protect staff, volunteers, and patients from the oncoming summer heat. This week, the first state-run indoor vaccination site opened in Mesa. The new site will replace the current outdoor site at Chandler-Gilbert Community College and offer up to 4,000 appointments per day. Another indoor site is planned for Scottsdale in Arizona. And the Arizona Department of Health Services also announced due to heat concerns, the State Farm Stadium site will be moving overnight operations until it moves to Gila River Arena later this month.
New tonight, firefighters face serious health risks on the job that put their lives on the line. That includes exposure to toxins that can cause cancer. But much more is known about the dangers facing male firefighters than women in the service. Cronkite News reporter Jackie O'Neill tells us how some Arizona researchers are trying to fix that.
Researchers at the University of Arizona have launched a 3-year study to better understand the dangers women firefighters face. They're looking at stress levels, cancer risk, and reproductive health. The goal? To help protect those working to keep us safe.
Nicole Minnick found her calling as a firefighter almost 2 decades ago.
So when I moved out here, I did see an ad in the paper. It was right after 9/11. The Glendale was testing. And at that time, all the cities in the valley started testing at the same time. And so I just got involved, and really it was just my path.
7 years later, Minnick gave birth to her first child, a daughter named Kendall. But when she tried to seek guidance about the risk of firefighting and breastfeeding, she hit a roadblock.
I had gone back to work, and I was still nursing, and so I was pumping at work. And I think my second or third shift back to work, we had a fire. And, you know, my baby's 3 months old. And I was like, well, I probably shouldn't nurse her. How long do I need to pump and dump? And I called the fire department, and they had no idea.
What Minnick encountered is just one example of the unique health concerns that women in the fire service face. A new study at the University of Arizona will address some of those issues.
Women firefighters have a number of questions that they want research to answer. Some of their major concerns are around mental health, so stress, mental health, PTSD, also reproductive effects of firefighting, and then finally, cancer risk of firefighting.
Burgess and a team of researchers are recruiting 200 women from fire departments across the country to examine adverse health effects. It's research that is long overdue.
Man, even in our first studies, we had a lot of people that were asking questions about the health of women in the fire service. So women who were participants in our studies, who would say, do you know anything about, miscarriage or any of those types of things? And often the answer was, there's just not data out there.
After her experience years ago, Minnick joined a study about breastfeeding and firefighting. She isn't taking part in this latest research, but applauds any effort that helps keep her and her colleagues safe on the job.
When we get hired, we're young and we're invincible. And then you start to see the realities of the job pan out in tragic ways. And then, all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't really want that to happen to me. So when you see your brothers and sisters actually die from the cancers of this job, it becomes reality. So we're going in the right direction for sure now.
Firefighters take care of us, and so in the words of Dr. Burgess, it's our duty to work with the firefighters to answer the research questions so they can also take care of themselves. In the studio, Jackie O'Neill, Cronkite News.
Arizona has decided to push back the state tax filing deadline until May 17 to match the federal tax delay. Governor Ducey signed the bill extending the deadline yesterday. The IRS says the extension is to compensate for changes made to tax laws in the most recent COVID-19 relief bill. This is the second year in a row that the state and federal tax deadline has been postponed due to the pandemic. Right now, Arizona's only black-owned brewery is working to make the craft beer community more inclusive and diverse. Cronkite News reporter Delaney White spoke with the owner about his journey to owning a successful brewery.
Diversity and inclusion. Hot topics of conversation, especially in the workplace. But when applied to niche professions, it often shows how far we still have to go.
There was a post on Instagram, and one of the comments from one of those posts is that black people don't like beer. And that was the most crazy thing I'd ever seen, and it's like, no, me and my friends love beer. Like, black guy from Arizona, open a brewery, love beer.
Tyler Smith is dispelling stereotypes one beer at a time.
But there's this idea out there that because you don't see a large market share of people of color drinking craft or going to breweries, that doesn't mean that they don't like beer. It's just that sometimes they don't know where to go.
Smith operates the only black-owned brewery in Arizona, with the mission of making everyone feel welcome.
And so that was my goal, was to really kind of break the mold of saying, whether you are the only brown face, whether you are the only woman, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is for you.
Marshall Norris, owner of Simple Machine Brewing Company, saw Smith's passion and wanted to help him reach his goals. The partnership started just months ago, but quickly grew into a smashing success.
When I find someone who loves the industry like I do, I try to help him. And he jumped on it right away. So he got his tanks, I think they dropped in October of last year. So we started making his beers for him.
I couldn't be luckier than to be here with these guys.
Taking a look outside now from our downtown studios, it's another hot day in the 90s, and the warm weather isn't going away anytime soon. Tyler Mannion is joining us now with just how hot it's going to get the rest of the week. Tyler?
Yeah, those highs you just mentioned are going to continue the rest of the week, but they're all around the country as well. Look at the East Coast here, all through the 70s and 80, 85 in Raleigh, and then down south, San Antonio at 90, us in Phoenix tomorrow with a high of 92 right here. As we move through the rest of the Southwest, watch as nothing follows me through this map. No storms, no wind, no clouds. It's going to be a beautiful next few days. The lows for tomorrow in the state of Arizona, Grand Canyon and Window Rock tied at 32 for your low respectively, and Phoenix at 65. But what about tonight? 89 degrees before the sun goes down, and after it does go away, it's not going to get that much cooler. 78 degrees at 10 p.m. Over your next 8 days, the story here is consistency. Watch this, 92 through 94 and sunny. That's going to be the theme until we get out to Sunday, where we finally get clouds, but notice those temperatures stay in that 92 to 94 range for your high. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Tyler Mannion.
Once the pandemic hit and more people became remote, Arizona's parks and trails saw an increase in use, but also saw an increase in visitor waste. Cronkite News reporter Sedona Meadows explores the environmental impact.
What we figured out is that overall, recreation in Arizona saw about a 35% increase during COVID. And I think those numbers are not going to go down. I think more and more people are able to work remotely and have found like the joy and the beauty of like, what is it like when you go for a hike or a bike ride?
Matthew Nelson is the executive director of Arizona Trail Association, an organization that works to protect and maintain Arizona trails spanning 800 miles from Mexico to Utah.
Our parks have reported that they're seeing people who they don't typically see, some people who are new to camping or new to getting out to state parks.
Michelle Thompson, Chief of Communications for Arizona State Parks and Trails, says that with new people enjoying the outdoors, there are new concerns.
Everywhere we've seen the result of people just dropping their personal protective equipment on the ground or just leaving it behind.
Arizona trail organizations are partnering with Leave No Trace to encourage visitors to keep nature wild. Arizona State Parks and Trails are distributing cleanup kits to motivate guests. Christine Vogt, director of the Center for Sustainable Tourism at Arizona State University, believes it goes beyond enforcement.
I think messaging and the facilities that are at parks play a role, but I think ultimately people have to care, and that caring can be learned by hanging out with other people that care. It can happen in educational settings for young people.
I feel like as people, we can either have light impact or we can have significant impact. And it's really just the consciousness of what are my potential impacts when I'm out in the wilderness.
If you're looking to visit Arizona State Parks and Trails, visitors are still required to follow all COVID-19 safety guidelines and are encouraged to leave no trace behind. Check out www.azstateparks.com for more information.
I'm Mason Kern, and after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report, including 3 stories we're tracking about the conclusion of March Madness. Don't go away.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
Women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
Welcome back. I'm Mason Kern with your Cronkite Sports Report. With March now in the rearview mirror, the Madness has officially come to an end. Both the men's and women's tournaments had their shining moments and kept fans on the edge of their seats. Arizonans had a significant connection with the women's final between UArizona and Stanford being the most watched women's national championship game since 2014. As for the men's tournament, Baylor ended Gonzaga's undefeated season with an 86-70 win last night. And after the Bears took a confetti shower, the signature One Shining Moment video played from the Jumbotron. One touching highlight was GCU senior forward Oscar Freyer being spotlighted with a block and close-up. Fair passed away in a car accident 3 days after the Lopes' first appearance in the tournament. As both NCAA tournaments end, draft declarations begin, and 2 Sun Devil men's hoopers have already put their names in. Last week, highly touted 5-star guard Josh Christopher took to social media to declare for the 2021 NBA draft. The one-and-done freshman played in 15 games and scored a career-high 28 points against Villanova, an NCAA tournament team. This morning, Marcus Bagley, another freshman, also declared. He's the number 27 prospect in the ESPN 100 NBA draft rankings. While those prospects make a push to the pros, the next generation of professional bull riders competed in Arizona last week. The Southern Arizona Junior Bull Riders Association event was held in Tucson, and many kids took part. Cronkite News reporter Autumn Thompson takes us out of the chute and onto the dirt.
All right, for our steer riders.
Kids as young as 7 are learning the ropes at the rodeo, from riding sheep to 12-year-olds riding Pee-wee bulls. At the Southern Junior Bull Riders Association, kids ranging from 5 to 19 years old are the main attraction in the rodeo.
It could get really scary, and that's what's really cool about this too, is that these kids are overcoming their fears.
Overcoming their fears is right. Young cowboy Cole Keith has won state finals in sheep riding and is now moving up to calf riding at just 7 years old.
Won this one by riding lots of sheep and winning lots of times.
For many parents, it can get a little scary having their children do such an extreme sport.
As a parent, you feel nervous. That's why we have mouth guards, we have helmets, we have protection. He wears protection underneath his clothing. We make sure that he's protected.
But the sport is more than just competing. It teaches many of the kids to socialize with each other.
Also gets them out there talking to people and socializing, especially when you get older and you get in the workforce and other stuff like that. You got to talk to people and you got to work with people.
These budding cowboys are learning to take hard knocks, but in the end, they're also learning the joys of victory. In Tucson, Autumn Thompson, Cronkite News.
Back to you, Karina and Caitlin.
Thank you for joining us.